My name is Olivia Cervantes. I am 16 years old from San Antonio, Texas, and I wrote a book called Don't Burst My Bubble. This book was inspired by challenges that I faced with fellow peers and different people growing up about when being a target for emotional projection. And I wanted to take what I've experienced and transform it in a way for children to understand how to set boundaries and protect their peace, and also the importance of resiliency and individuality. So this book touches on all of those themes in a way for children to understand. So this is my book, Don't Burst My Bubble. There once was a little girl with brown hair and rosy cheeks. One sparkling night, the stars gave her a bubble that was made especially for her. It was a beautiful bubble, and she spent time admiring its beauty. Then she danced and leapt with joy, knowing that this bubble was hers. The next morning, the little girl knew that she had to thank the stars for this gift, and with all of her excitement, she couldn't wait to show her bubble to all of the new friends that she would meet on her journey. First, she went into the garden to see how the flowers were doing. There she found a beautiful pink flower that appears to have just bloomed. When the little girl went up to the flower, she tried to show her the beautiful bubble. Rather than admiring the little girl's bubble, the flower was too worried about her own petals to even care. When she finally acknowledged her, she said, "Why do you have a bubble, but I don't?" The little girl replied by saying, "It was a gift made especially for me, but I'm sure that you have a gift made especially for you." After hearing this, the flower grew quite jealous of the little girl's bubble. Her thorns began to grow large and pointy until they eventually popped the bubble. "Why did you do that?" the little girl asked the flower. "It's not fair that you get to have a bubble and I don't," the flower exclaimed. Hurt by what the flower had done, the little girl blew her bubble again and continued on her journey to show others the joy that she had inside. While she was walking to her next destination, she heard a bird singing up in the trees above. She normally heard a particular bluebird singing a beautiful song every morning to awaken everyone from their slumber. This morning, though, he was singing a song of sadness and despair. His song made the air heavy with melancholy and negativity. When the little girl tried to tell the bird about her bubble, he couldn't hear her. He was unable to hear her over his song of sadness that he was singing in the trees. "Mr. Bluebird, look at my beautiful bubble," the girl shouted. She kept shouting several times and began to grow frustrated when the bluebird wasn't listening. After a while of trying to show the bluebird her bubble, the song of sadness popped her bubble. It was then that the bird realized that the little girl was there. After he barely noticed her, he immediately went back to singing his song. The little girl blew her bubble again and continued on her way, trying to keep a smile on her face. Once she had left the garden, the little girl found herself in a large and vast meadow. There was sunlight shining upon her skin, providing a comforting warmth. She savored the sunlight and danced around in the colorful flowers that stretched as far as her eyes could see. Suddenly, a cloud came over the sun and began creating a shadow upon the ground. As the little girl was walking, she began to feel a breeze brush against her shoulder. It continued to get colder as she walked until she was nearly freezing. She realized that the cool air was coming from the wind. When the little girl saw the wind, she began to jump for joy with excitement at a chance to share her bubble. As she tried to catch up to the wind, he was in such a rush to get to where he had to be that he wouldn't stop and take the time to talk to the little girl. "Mr. Wind, look at my beautiful bubble," the girl exclaimed. "I don't have time. I have somewhere very important that I have to be, and if I am not there right away, bad things will happen," the wind explained. "What will happen to you?" the little girl questioned. "I'm not sure, but I'm very worried about it," the wind stated. With that, the wind flew by, popping the little girl's bubble as he rushed away. The little girl blew her bubble yet again and continued on her way, with a weird sensation of stress and urgency in her stomach. After her rushed encounter with the worried wind, The little girl arrived in a magnificent forest. There were tall, strong trees and adorable woodland creatures. She was surrounded by scents of pine and moss. She savored the silky soil beneath her feet as she felt a crisp chill in the air. As she continued to travel, she came across a gap in the dirt beneath her feet. This gap was a hole containing a little white rabbit that began to peek her head out of the ground. "Mrs. Rabbit," the little girl said, "would you like to see my beautiful bubble?" The rabbit responded by saying, "I would absolutely love to see your bubble, but you will have to bring it here to my home underground." "Oh no, my bubble won't be able to fit underground without popping. Would you be able to come above the ground to see it?" The little girl asked. "I'm too scared. What if something bad happens when I'm down here? What if something bad happens when I'm above the ground? I cannot take any chances. It is much safer down here in my home," the rabbit replied. "Doesn't it get lonely by yourself underground?" "Yes, but it is much safer this way because I do not risk getting eaten by big scary animals," the rabbit persisted. "But you are not allowed the possibility of friendship and connection," the little girl insistently questioned. "Yes, but it is safer this way," the rabbit stubbornly repeated. Feeling slightly helpless, the little girl tried to bring her bubble underground to the rabbit's home, but the sticks and dirt popped the bubble before the rabbit could see it in her small hole. This hurt the little girl because yet again her bubble popped, and no one was able to share her joy. Despite her feelings of being let down, she decided to blow her bubble again and continue on her journey. The little girl soon realized that she was lost in the forest and that she had been going in circles trying to find her way out. When she came close to losing hope, she suddenly heard a deep voice behind her. The voice seemed to be strong and a tad angry. She noticed that the voice was coming from a gray rock lying upon the ground. "Hello, Mr. Rock," the little girl exclaimed. "Would you be able to help me find my way out of this forest?" "Why would I help you?" the rock responded in his low and somewhat intimidating voice. It was clear that he was angry with something or someone, but the little girl didn't know why. "Well, it would be the nice thing to do," the little girl responded. The rock rolled his eyes and said, "You will be able to get out if you take 2 lefts, 3 rights, and 1 loop-de-loop. "Thank you very much, Mr. Rock. I truly appreciate your help." "Oh, Mr. Rock, would you care to see my bubble?" the little girl asked. "No, I am not in the mood, and I am very busy. I do not have time to look at silly bubbles or talk to silly little girls. Go away," the rock angrily shouted. The volume of the rock caused the little girl's bubble to burst, and she had to blow her bubble once again. "Oh, okay, I'll be on my way," the little girl barely managed to express. She did not like when she was yelled at. It hurt her stomach, and it made her feel sad inside. The worst part was that she didn't understand why the rock had yelled, or what she did to make him so angry. After following the rock's directions out of the forest, the little girl had arrived on the shore of a big blue ocean. She could smell the sea salt in the water and see the array of different sea creatures swimming and playing friendly games. "Surely all of these fun creatures would love to see my bubble," she thought to herself. She bent down on the grainy yellow sand and began to speak to the most colorful, lovely seahorse she had ever seen before. The little girl said, "Hello, Mrs. Seahorse. Would you like to see my beautiful bubble?" The seahorse responded by condescendingly saying, "Beautiful? Nothing is as beautiful as me. I do not want to see your bubble." "You are very beautiful, Mrs. Seahorse, but my bubble is beautiful as well. Can't there be multiple beautiful things at the same time?" the little girl asked. "Why, of course not. I am the most beautiful creature to exist. There is simply nothing that compares to me. Please be on your way and take your silly bubble along with you. I would never want to see something so hideous. The seahorse responded. Trying to hold back tears, the little girl was able to mutter, "Okay," and she began to walk away with her bubble. By now, the little girl felt defeated and overwhelmed with sadness. She had traveled down steep valleys and across large flatlands until she finally reached the great mountain. It had been a very long and emotional day for the little girl, and she kept trying to understand why all of this happened to her. She felt that she had been very nice to everyone, but she was still left feeling hurt and lonely. Once she arrived at the foot of the mountain, she was able to see the great climb ahead of her. Though she was exhausted, she knew that she had to make her final climb to the top. With all of the strength and energy that she had left in her, she began to climb and make her way up the mountain. When she reached the top, she took a big, deep breath and sat down, cross-legged upon the sweet, dewy grass. She continued to breathe deep and slow. By this time, the sun had already gone down and the moon had risen. She wanted to close her eyes and fall asleep, but then she remembered why she was there. She forcefully blinked her eyes open in order to stay awake. She looked up and saw millions of beautiful stars in the big dark sky and said, "Hello, stars. Would you be able to explain why everyone caused my bubble to burst?" I was so excited to show everyone my bubble, but they wouldn't even notice or be excited for me. For a moment, there was a silence, and then, all of a sudden, the stars responded, "Hello. Don't fret, little girl. We've been watching you and taking care of you this whole time. It may seem like the universe was against you, but we really are looking out for you and helping you grow." Growing, it isn't easy, and sometimes we have to fall down in order to learn how to get up again. People burst your bubble because they were having their own struggles that ended up affecting you, causing your bubble to burst. Sometimes people's struggles don't have anything to do with you as a person, but they can still affect you. The stars responded. The little girl then asked, "Well, how can I keep my bubble safe?" The stars said, "There's not a simple solution because there will always be someone trying to burst your bubble. But you can avoid these people by finding others that are happy for themselves and happy for you." "How can I find these people?" the little girl asked. "Well," the star said, "there is no guarantee you will find these people right away, and sometimes you may feel very lonely or isolated. But all you can do is make good choices and decisions that feel right to you, and the stars will take care of the rest." We have guided you this far, and will continue to guide you as long as you remain faithful and grateful. The stars comforted her. With these warm, reassuring words from the stars, the little girl began to blink her eyes closed and fall asleep on her back upon the grass. When she felt the warm sunlight on her face the next morning, she began to open her eyes with energy and joy for what the new day would bring. She didn't know where she was going or who she would meet along the way, but she carried her bubble and a bright smile on her face. She followed what the stars had told her and remained faithful and grateful for her existence, her bubble, and for the beautiful world around her. She started heading down the mountain, and once she had reached the flat ground, she saw a figure in the distance. It was a little boy. He was visibly hiding behind a tall but slender tree, He appeared to be playing a game of hide and seek with his dog and giggling with overflowing bliss. The little girl walked